So cute.
Hi, welcome back to the Just Okay podcast. I am Brittany Ledesma, and today I am here with
Alden Schaub.
Alden Schaub. I need to stop having. I've been told it's rude to have guests introduce themselves. What's your take on that?
Oh, I think it's fine. Just be like, hey, there's this guy. And they're like, oh, yeah, I am that guy.
Yeah, I think, you have a right to speak.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. But we roasted each other, like a few weeks ago now.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. You can watch clips of it on both of our pages. But did you still want to swap ones that we didn't do?
Oh, yeah, of course. I was also a little annoyed that we posted basically the same video and yours got like 10,000 views and mine only got like 2,000 views.
Yeah. I was so annoyed. My first joke didn't get, I needed to stop. I love a good pedophile joke. And no one in the crowd thought it was funny. And that's happened to me multiple times where it's like comics will like the joke, but a crowd, I don't know, they just don't. They're like, this is our boy and he's not a pedophile. I
guess I just don't give off those kinds of vibes.
You have a big likability factor.
Oh, I know. That's my shield. It helps. I can get away with certain things because of that. The things that are silly, I can pull it off where other people are like, I always wear the bright clothes too.
Yeah.
So that helps the hero motif or whatever. Like, well, that's like when I made that little video. I always like to portray the other person as the villain.
That's
and
so
I'm like
funny.
The hero,
I'm saving the day at our rose petal.
Oh yeah. Well, then I don't know. I like making those because it also gets in the head of the opponent. You know? So and then one of the times I'm going to use the jokes from the video in the roast, just to really get somebody like.
So funny. You should. He made a joke about me. I moved to New York I moved back from New York. And can you just say it? I'm going to butcher it.
Oh yeah, Brittany moved back from New York, and as they say, if you can make it there, you usually keep living there.
That's so funny. And yeah, my boyfriend heard that joke, and then he was like, "You're gonna lose."
Well, somebody from the Creek had seen it, and they laughed too because they moved the whole club down.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, the whole club also moved, and
it was a pretty good burn.
It's a slow burn. I did make sure before the roast to not say, because I always say my roast a million times before I go on stage. Because there was one roast, it was the worst roast I've ever done. I called Nick Roach crying about it on the Q train because every single roast I stuttered, and it none of them. I still think they're good jokes, but when you stutter, you immediately lose all credit.
It takes the gas out of it 100%.
Yeah. And everyone just feels bad for you and no one's gonna.
Yeah, like a smoothly delivered joke is better than one where it's like,
yeah,
dang it, I screwed that one up. And then you do it again and you're like, oh, well.
It was every single one. It was truly the worst roast battle I've ever had. And so now every single roast battle, I've started doing I do vocal warm-ups. That's
good.
She sells seashells. I don't really know any real vocal warm-ups, so that's all I do.
Well, I just do them a bunch, and then I will make them short.
Yeah.
So that way there's only maybe 2 sentences maximum that you have to remember, and that helps, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was just in the back behind the outdoor stage just saying them because I was like, I'm not going to say them in front of the door because I know he could be listening.
Well, that's what happened when I roasted Dane, actually.
You were telling me about that.
He was sitting doing them out in the back, and I was sitting in the chair, and I heard all of them. So then I told him that after. It was pretty funny.
He must have hated it. He would have missed. That's so funny.
But both of them went well. I mean,
they were good roasts.
It was fun, I got good comments on it and stuff on YouTube and everything.
Yeah, we just had one guy say it was weak, but.
Oh yeah, well I went on his YouTube page and I downvoted a bunch of his videos.
That's so funny. I'm also like, it's not weak. It just may not be for you.
Well, sure. I mean, if you're gonna have thousands of people view it, of course there's gonna be a couple detractors.
Yeah.
That's pretty normal, I think.
Yeah. No, it was funny. I love that you did that. I thought his page was private. I hate when people comment on things and their pages are private.
Oh yeah, then it's just a troll,
Yeah. But
I don't know, we should be able to absorb a little negative feedback. That's the thing with the internet. Everything's supposed to be positive, but then there's that undercurrent of negativity, and it's like, well, let's just have it all be out there.
I do love seeing the people who say mean things on videos, because it's never someone that's happy. It's someone that should be spending time with their kids, you know?
Yeah, they're getting out their vitriol in that way instead of yelling while they're driving or something.
Hey, if it's being a troll rather than hitting your wife, thank you. Thank you.
But I mean, YouTube has a thumbs up and a thumbs down, so you can utilize that.
I do like that about YouTube now. You can utilize it for good.
Yeah. Be like, listen, got you back.
Got you back, bitch. You think I'm weak? I think your videos suck.
I got free time too. Think about that. Come and get it.
I wanted to not do a trivia roast because I thought everyone did those. And then after I was like, I should have done a trivia roast.
Well, what's hard about that is that you have to make that known early, because it's not obvious when, like that's, I don't know. I haven't done that many roasts, but the hardest part is like profiling the person, and then you try to reduce them to some kind of essence or something. But there's certain things about you, that I would know that the audience doesn't know. It has to be obvious, like right away.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do some inside baseball stuff where it's like it's funny to comics, but it's just not funny to like a crowd of people that pay to be there, and that's who you're supposed to entertain. But what got you into hosting trivia?
Oh, I wasn't really doing much up in Michigan, just like working at a convenience store, and then I started playing at a casino. And then the guy who was the host, he actually lived up the street from the store that I worked at. So then he would come in, and he was really into like dirty jokes. So we would trade dirty jokes back and forth. And then I joined a Facebook group that he had created called the Internet G-Spot. And it was the worst memes, and the account kept getting banned and stuff. So he's like, I need another person to be the administrator because my account keeps getting banned. So then if it gets banned, then the G-Spot can still run,
Yeah.
So then I got to know him, and then he's like, oh, one of the other trivia hosts is quitting, and I think that you could probably do it if you wanted. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So then I just started doing it. And then I ended up doing like 4 shows a week in Michigan for like 4 or 5 years. I don't know, just like getting into it like that, I guess.
That's dope.
It's fun. I like doing it.
What's your favorite trivia question to ask?
Oh, well, it's interesting. So I write all my own questions, there's like hack trivia, just like there's hack jokes. So part of what sets my shows apart is that I try to think, okay, is this interesting? And I try to start with that as a base, but like, I had this one about ducks and whether or not there's saltwater ducks. And I just thought, well, that's a great question.
No.
Well, yeah, there are. There's like 26 species of saltwater ducks. So that's a very easy, yeah. And I was like, well, that's fascinating. That is
fascinating.
Anybody can listen to that, and then they could start talking about it with their group. Oh, then that's really what's fun, is they're debating it, So, the trivia is kind of fun, but what's really good is the group of people that are friends, they get to hang out, So that's like the whole, like I have this one, it's about a wine bottle. And so there's different parts of the wine bottle. So there's like 5 parts, and I made up 3 parts. So you got to guess like the neck, then there's like the shoulders, and there's the tank, and then there's the nose. But some of those are made up. So you have to like either know it or kind of guess at it or like talk through it. So, that's fun. But I just read all kinds of stuff, and then I'll just kind of start extracting little pieces out of it because it's got to be really general, because it's random and you don't know who's going to be there.
Is there a question that people get wrong more than like?
Oh, the one that people get wrong all the time is like the month of the year that the planet is closest to the sun is like December or something, or January, but they think it's summer. It would be June, but it's actually like, it's because of the tilt. So like, even though December is colder up in the northern hemisphere, the planet's actually closer to the sun slightly. So like every time people get that one wrong, but I can't use that. I maybe use that one like once a year or something.
So you cycle through your.
Sometimes I'll recycle them if I'm like running behind and I haven't finished the set completely.
That's cool. So you have like different set. How many jokes do you? Not jokes. How many trivia questions do you think you've written over the years?
Oh man. Well, every week I write like 100.
100. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Well, because I have maybe 4 or 5 games a week that I do, and I write for the other hosts that I hired. So I'll, And then that's like final questions and halves and all that. So that probably takes about maybe 8 hours a week or something.
Damn. That's dedication to it. That's when you first started, how many jokes were you writing? Or were
For comedy?
No, not jokes. I need to stop calling
for trivia?
Yeah.
Well, I was only doing one show at a time.
Yeah.
Like when I first started, I just had one. So I was just writing maybe 20 or 25 a week. And then as I got more shows, I would start, just writing for all of them. But I can look back at my old trivia and I could be like, this isn't very good. I don't know what it is. It's like intangible. Like I'll look at a trivia question and be like, oh, that's a good one.
That's fascinating. It reminds me of a lot of comedy in that way, I guess.
Well, there's the techniques and all that, but then there's sort of like taste involved. And then there's certain kinds of, what's fun about trivia for me is I'm essentially testing it out that night. I don't necessarily know if it's even correct sometimes. I try to research it as best I can, but I don't always know if people understand what I'm talking about, if it's too narrow, if what I wrote isn't even correct. So that's kind of gives it a little excitement that makes it more dynamic, I think.
Absolutely.
Like, what did I write for the half? Oh, it was, excuse me. It was stage names. Mm-hmm. So you've got 4 stage names, and then you've got 5 people's real names, and you got to try to match them up there. And that's hard, because most people only know the stage name.
I don't think I've ever done a match one for trivia. I think all the trivia questions I've ever been asked were like straight up like question answer. Oh, yeah.
Well, you're playing as a team,
Yeah.
So then you got to usually it's one answer, or it's multiple choice, or it's false or true. Well, and there's little jokes that I do in the game. So somebody told me I can't do true or false anymore. They hate true or false questions. So I said, well, that's fine. So now I do false or true questions.
That's funny.
I've been doing that for years. So it's like an inside joke for some of the regular players.
Yeah.
But other people who are just playing for the first time, I'm saying it that way. They don't really have the context for why, and I never explain it to them. So it's like they're wondering, well, it just seems odd. And that's kind of fun in a trivia setting, to have these little Easter eggs.
It throws them off a little bit too, I bet.
Yeah, they're like, well, and it makes the game a little more distinct, I suppose.
Do you have any questions about hummus?
Oh yeah, all the time. People they kind of know they've had hummus before, but they don't necessarily know what's in it or the difference between hummus and baba ganoush. I've asked that
I don't
before.
know the difference between hummus or baba ganoush.
Well, it's basically the same thing, except one's chickpeas and one is it's eggplant.
Okay.
So it's basically the same recipe you could do with either one. But I like hummus better myself. But
yeah, you made me hummus once and it was incredible when you did my podcast way back in the day.
Oh, it's only gotten better.
Hell yeah.
Well, and I used to use the canned chickpeas, and then I went to the dry. But now I've got these ones that are these tiny ones you get from an Indian supermarket. And they're very smooth when you put it through the food processor.
That's amazing. I do think there's certain things for me, I would say my dish that I make is souffle. I got really into making that in college, but I just stopped cooking overall. But whenever I need to whip something out, it's that. Do you have any other things besides hummus?
Oh yeah, I'll see something online or something, and I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can make that. So last week I saw a video, somebody was making caramel at home, and I was like, that looks fun. How hard would that be? I mean, they've been making caramel for hundreds of years probably. Yeah. So it's actually very easy. So you just need granulated sugar, butter, and milk, and a little bit of salt.
Ooh, that's
and so I just sat down, I watched them do it a couple times, and then I just made it, and then we just put it over some ice cream. It was really good.
That sounds so good. I don't know. I didn't realize it was just butter.
Well, if you're doing the sugar and you melt it, and then you just put the butter in.
They always call it caramelized.
Yeah, right. You're literally caramelizing it. But if you just do the butter and sugar, then that's the caramel you'd get on a candied apple. It's hard.
Yeah.
But if you put cream or milk in there, it's more like a syrup.
Ooh.
So then you can drizzle it on stuff.
I was trying to make whipped cream a few weeks ago, homemade. But I don't have a little mixer, so I was using a frother, and it took
that'll take forever.
It took 20 minutes. And that's not including putting it in the freezer and taking it out, trying to get it to get hard. It was a very difficult process. I think younger me would be upset. I took culinary in high school for like 4 years, so I used to be really into all this, but I don't know. At some point, I just started buying food out every day of the week.
Well, I have my days completely open so I can fool around with this kind of stuff. But I also think when I look at a recipe, I go, is this relatively simple? I don't have a lot of equipment and stuff, so it's got to be just a few ingredients and pretty easy, you know.
Yeah. I did I don't know if you saw it, it was like viral on TikTok for a little bit, the baked feta.
Oh.
It was it's so good. When I was living in New York, because I had the smallest kitchen ever there, it's the only thing I would make at home, and it was a block of feta with cherry tomatoes, and you put it in the oven, and then you mix it up together, and you put noodles in it, and it's basically pasta.
Ooh.
It's so good. 10
Sounds
out of
really
10.
good.
But I was doing that like every day of the week, and then I started making my own zucchini noodles with it, because all you really eat in New York is carbs, and I love carbs. Nothing wrong with carbs, but I felt like I needed a vegetable in there besides tomatoes. Those are fruits because they have seeds.
Well, botanically, I suppose. You know. There again, that gets into definitions of. It's horrible. Well, when you're doing a trivia question, you ask something about a vegetable or fruit, you have to specify botanical definition or culinary definition, because people will call you on that stuff.
Really?
And if you don't know, you look dumb.
What's have people challenged you a lot on questions?
Oh, like every week, yeah. There'll be something.
Is there one you remember that was kind of just...
Oh, I have a bit about it now, but I had one about whether or not raccoons have thumbs. Yeah.
No, but
yeah, they don't. Yeah, you're right.
No.
Imagine if it was a pinky, like, instead.
Yeah.
So they do have 5 digits, you know. But even it doesn't have the opposable function, and it doesn't have the shape of a thumb, you know.
So they can really just grab.
Yeah, they're very tactile, but they have to use their hands together, you know. So somebody just would not believe it. They were just furious, and they were yelling, and they were showing me pictures of different stuff, and I was like, I really couldn't convince them that they weren't right, you know. So eventually, I just had to say, listen, they don't, and we're gonna go on to the next thing. But they were just not convinced, because they're like, I've seen them pick up stuff. I've seen them pick up a can, you know, and it's like, yeah, they do pick up stuff, but like they don't have a thumb, like, and then I don't know. But most people are pretty good sports, you know.
Yeah.
But that one was like,
that's so funny.
I mean, I had to stop the game. I had to have them come around to my computer, show them pictures, like skeletons of the hands and stuff, and they just weren't buying it, you know. So the bit I use now is I say, well, they showed me a picture of Rocket from the Guardians of the Galaxy, you know. And he's like a raccoon with a, you know, but like sometimes people just can't be convinced, you know. It's hard because there's so much information out there.
People are really firm in their beliefs, and sometimes I'm always ready. I feel like most of the time when I state a fact, I'm 90% sure I'm wrong.
Well, that's smart. You know, leave yourself a little grace in there, because
it's hard to argue with people who just do not see any other way except their own. Because you can't argue with them or even really have a discussion, because it's just their own opinion. I recently have been watching a lot of body cam footage on TikTok. That's been my new thing. So I watched a video today of a guy who like was a bicyclist that claimed that this teenager, I think he was driving a Prius 2, was trying to hit him, and this guy was not trying to hit the cyclist. And so the cyclist detained him on his own, and then like touched the person and like put hands on them, and was trying to get them arrested for being within 3 feet of them while riding his bike. And so the cop had to be like, hey, you're not a police officer. It was the one time I think I watched a video where I was like, wow, the cops handled this very well. And the guy ended up getting a ticket for it, and he did not believe he was in the wrong. He got like a straight up like, it's not the public intoxication. What is it when a person is reckless endangerment? Public
Oh yeah.
I cannot remember the name.
Oh, it's not public nuisance. It's something like endangerment or something.
Something like that. And so he got a criminal offense while the guy who was driving it got an infraction, and I just thought it was so funny because by the end of it, because he was adamant that they arrest this man who did not hit him with his car. And by the end of it, he still thought the other guy was in the wrong. But he was like, you know what if we just both don't get tickets? And I'm just like, this is where taxpayer money goes to settle disputes in neighborhoods about people not being hit by a car.
Bickering.
Police are more or less mediators. I think there should be a second version of the police where it's just people that go and you can listen, kind of like therapists.
Yeah, some kind of like person to cool it down. Yeah, because it seems like if you're already at police, then it's more serious. There's not like an intermediary step.
Yeah, where it's like, hey, we're almost the police, but it's like we need like a security guard.
Or some sort of neighborhood judge or something.
A neighborhood, oh God. I don't know how you are with neighbors. I generally don't think neighbors should, I like to mind my business. That's my ideal. You know, be friendly, but like when I moved into my apartment, one of them was so adamant that I was operating an Airbnb here because I had friends visit me. So I had to contact the HOA about this because I was just like, he racially profiled one of my friends, and I'm like, it's so easy to not do that. But this is the first time in my life I've ever had an HOA, and people are just so petty in HOAs. Well,
you give them a little power, you know.
Yeah, it's stupid. I think HOAs are just another way it's like a PTA for adults a little bit. But
I don't know. Some of my neighbors are all right. I don't live in a retirement community, but it's like a pre-retirement community. They're like a little older, retired, most of them, or they work remotely. Some of the people are nice to just say hello in the hall. Others, it's like, this is going to be like 20 minutes. Oh. And that I'm like, I need to start not doing that. There's a couple of my neighbors I wish I could unmeet because it's such a time suck.
I had a few of those in one of my complexes. My favorite neighbor I've ever had, we just said hi to each other.
Yeah.
I didn't know his name.
Perfect.
He told me his job. Don't retain it. We just said hi. The only fight we got in was that this was when I was living in New York, and Uber Eats drivers used to wrongly, like, accidentally deliver food in front of our doorsteps, and we were right across from each other. So it'd just be a standoff for like a week to see who's going to take it downstairs. That's the worst it got. He played EDM music very loud, and I didn't complain because he minded his business.
Like, we have a new neighbor who they had like a Friendsgiving at the apartment, and Tina wasn't able to make it because she was working. So they actually brought her like a plate from the thing. That was pretty nice, you know?
That's very sweet. Yeah. I think I had one neighbor during the pandemic that was, he was a little odd. His roommate I really liked because he was the head chef of Flower Child at the time. So this was like mid-pandemic, and you couldn't really go out. So he would cook us meals. Oh. And they'd just bring it to me, which was it was so sweet. And I had barely any interactions with him.
Best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds, really. Have you ever had a complaint?
About me?
Yeah.
No, I pretty much keep to myself. But I do like to use the pool and stuff, and so people see that when I'm like swimming in the cold pool, and they're like kind of give me a little looks. But I don't know. Most people are pretty quiet out there, you know. Or if there's been a complaint about me, it hasn't been brought to my attention, I guess.
Have you ever had a complaint about you at work, or even with like the trivia?
Not trivia. So people have complained about the content at the Lucky Duck comedy a few times.
That makes sense, but also what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, well, the owner of the bar is really nice because he is a fan of comedy, so he kind of understands what we're doing, and so that's fine. But I wish people would bring the complaint to me directly so we could kind of talk it out. But oftentimes, so they'll hear something they don't like, they'll walk out, they'll find the first security person or the first bar back or something, and they'll be like, I didn't like blah, blah, blah. And then they'll come up and tell me about it, but then they've already left.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, dang, you know, but also it is uncensored.
Yeah. I mean, also, you're at a bar on a Wednesday night at midnight, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's some of the times I'll be listening and I'll be like, man, I have to stand behind this. This is a free speech zone, but like, I'll be like, oh, you know.
Yeah. I mean, how long? 6 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're gonna get some crazy shit said.
Well, and two, it's the newest comedians, so they're oftentimes just trying to get any kind of reaction.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, if I'm inflammatory, at least they'll gasp, you know?
I feel like it's such a new thing, like a new comic thing to go straight to shock humor.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who's also does have a lot of shock humor, but
but there's a way to do it where you can see that there's a joke there. It's been worked on.
It's tasteful. Some people do it, and they get a reaction because people either believe it and in the wrong way, or because it's so awful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've done God's work by hosting that mic for so long.
Well, I get paid. I mean,
yeah,
and that's still fun. I mean, there'll be a day where it's not fun and somebody else can do it, but
yeah. I mean, I think you did Opa really early on.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was such a, I love that memory, but God, I would never want to host a mic there again.
Oh, yeah, it had a lot of problems, but man, it was available. You know?
It was available. It was 2020 and there was nothing else at the time. There was also Micheladas though, which was also another fun experience. Both of those places were very horrible open mics that were during pandemic here. And I hosted Opa, and Opa was very early on. The people that would go there, you could just say, oh, they're a little off, some of them. There was a woman who would go to the shows there, and she was very sweet, but she I say it was cosplaying being blind. Some people think it is a little bit of me exaggerating, but she was using a cane that was like one of the blind people thing, but she could see. But I found that to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Maybe she's vision impaired. That was the first time I saw Swiggy. I remember that very distinctly, where he was told he cannot go up. So then Tom handed him the mic over the railing, and he did it anyways. And I was like, well, seems like it's in bad taste.
Yep.
But now he's one of my favorites. So
he is very funny to watch. But yeah, I don't know. That mic, I used to cap it at 20, and I had a lot of rules for it. It's hosting an open mic. I mean, you let people bump at your open mic, but it is.
Oh, well, it's worse than that. There is no system.
There is no system now? You gave up?
There's not. Yeah, it's just one of the weeks I didn't even put numbers on the paper. I just wanted to see what people would do.
You're just running a social experiment.
Kind of. It's just a half mic and half like psychological experiment. Well, I've never given anybody any guidance on what they're supposed to do. So I just kind of want to see what they'll do.
Yeah. What did they do when there were no numbers?
Somebody put numbers on there. They couldn't handle it. It was funny.
I was at an open mic in New York, and some guy, the bartender, normally there is a sheet for the sign up that had the numbers on it, but the bartender was like, I don't have that, so here's a piece of paper, notebook paper. And some guy who was just going to the mic, it was my first time doing that mic, so I just wrote down the numbers, put my name 1 and 2 for my friend and I. And this guy who's like a regular at the mic came up to me and yelled. He was like, where's the piece of paper? Where's the piece of paper with numbers on it? I was like, well, we have this one. And he was like, no, this isn't it. He was losing his mind because it wasn't the normal piece of paper they had. People really don't know what to do sometimes when there's just the tiniest bit of a curve.
I do notice that, especially, I don't know what it is about comics. They like to be abnormal, but then they also want their structure the way it's strange. Like if I put out the list late or early, or people are mad, I just had to stop listening to all that. I
had a mic at Creek where I was putting the list outside, then the bartender told me to put the list inside, and so then someone came up to me and was like, why the fuck are you trying to like fuck with us about where you're putting the list? Like, you're trying to mess with us? I was like, no, I'm just trying to put the list out where they told me to.
I'm following instructions.
Yeah.
Well, the hardest part is we did the tag mic today, so there's an online sign up. So there's always people that show up there who don't know that exists, that there's an online sign up. Then there's people who signed up and don't show up, and then they like text me or whatever. But then nobody seems to be able to figure out the system or want to. And then if they're not on it or whatever, they plead ignorance. And it's like, well, I've heard that every time.
Yeah, people always think they're the first one to have an excuse.
What did it do?
Yeah, my camera setup isn't that expensive, so it stops at 30 minutes. But yeah, people really do lose their mind over just like the stupidest shit. That it's like, you know, you can just breathe and relax and be a person. But
Well, comics are emotional people, so I try to be a little empathetic, but it's like you hear the same complaint 100 times, and if you just become hardened to it, like
yeah, 100%. I've done the tag writing one once way back when you were. Do you still do it at Lucky Duck too?
Mm-hmm.
So you do 2 a week. That's dope.
Yeah, so sometimes I'll write 100 jokes between those 2 shows every week.
You're a machine.
I wrote a lot of good ones today. We had a fun time, you know, to an empty room of nobody, you know.
There's nothing like doing an open mic with no one in the room except a few comics that also don't really want to be there. It is one of my favorite things to overcome.
Well, I don't know. I think, yeah, it can be a challenge, but also I can't write like that at home.
Yeah.
So I need that setup.
One of my favorite things to do at mics is I'll hear someone's premise and I don't like their punchline, so then I write their own, kind of like that. There's one guy who did a stupid one about Trump's picking his cabinet. And so I didn't like his joke for it's Trump's picking his cabinet. I hope he chooses a nice wax finish. It's very stupid, but just dumb stuff like that. And a mic is my favorite thing to do.
Oh, yeah. Colton Jones did one today, and he said, do they call it scissoring because once they start, I'm cut out of the threesome? So that's a very good joke. And then, so my tag was, well, fine, I'll take my balls and go home. So, like, you know, maybe I'll use that, maybe not. But I was like, okay, I had fun writing that. So
yeah, it is. I do love comedy because it is probably the stupidest thing in the world, but it brings so much joy to do and to other people. How, like, yeah, you have a weird dick. People want to listen to you talk about it in a unique way. But what were you? I'm very curious. What were you like in high school?
Oh, I was a football player, a sports person. I don't know. I used to read a lot. I was just like, yeah, I don't know if I was like a jock person. I guess I was involved in a lot of sports, but it was just like something to do. I don't know. Well, and my parents were encouraging me, yeah, you know, oh, do football, do track, you know, do powerlifting, do whatever. So it was fun to be like in the group of people, but I don't know. I always felt like I was kind of on the outside looking in, you know, like, I don't know. I was like pretty good in school. Like I used to get decent grades and stuff. And well, I do a lot of recreational reading. So then I didn't think the classes were that hard. So like I didn't really have to do a lot of work to get good grades, you know. But I have always been kind of an oddball, I think. So I try to smooth that out with people by being, you know, friendly and stuff. But like when they really get to know me, they're like, oh, this guy's weird. And I'm like, you know, so I have a kind of a public face, you know. I think I started doing that in high school probably. Like.
And then did you start comedy during the pandemic or do it before?
I did one open mic in college.
Okay.
And this was like 2005 or something. And I never did it after that until the first mic I did here in Austin, which was at Cherrywood.
I did love the Cherrywood mic. That was a good one.
But I had already been doing trivia for like 7 years.
Trivia must help a lot, at least with like the stage presence part.
Yeah, some things it's good. I mean, it's not stand-up, of course, but I'm looking into the crowd, looking for comprehension, trying to manage their attention, you know, seeing if I need to shorten or lengthen the music and, you know, I'll riff a little bit. So those make for a good host. But when I went and did my first set, I was very nervous, you know, even though I had all this time on the mic and stuff. But it's just not the same thing. I mean.
Yeah. I want to bring this back to the grocery store.
Okay.
What did you do at the grocery store?
What grocery store?
You worked at a convenience store?
Hmm?
What did you do there? Were you just like, was it like a big one, small one?
Oh, no, it was like a little mom and pop one. So like when I got out of college, it was 2007 and it was like right into the recession of 2007. So I had just graduated with a degree in economics and I could not get a job. Nobody was hiring anybody. I didn't have any experience in anything. really, if you're going to be an economist, you need to get like a PhD. So I just had a bachelor's. So like I applied to work at a bread place. They needed a person to deliver bread at like 3 a.m. Okay. You had to use your own car, your own gas. So I fill out the application, I hand it in, and the guy goes, yeah, well, you're the 100th person to apply for this job, you know.
That's crazy.
And I didn't even want it, you know, at 3 a.m. So it was like a little convenience store that was just like, they made their own jerky there. And then I just ran the cash register. So I could get up at my shift was like 2 to 10. So I could just sleep during the day, and then I could go work at the convenience store. And I did that for like, I don't know, probably a year and a half or 2 years or something. And just like I was just like so happy I had a job, you know, but
yeah.
You know, I was living with my mom, and I was just like, just in Michigan drinking and just like not doing anything.
What made you want to study economics?
Oh, my dad is a professional investor. And so, you know, I learned about investing when I was pretty young. So we always talk about business things. And so like he studied accounting, and then I was like, well, accounting is very boring to me.
Yeah.
But then I started reading, I took a class in economics. I was like, well, this is actually pretty interesting. So I don't know, I just found it interesting. So I just did that.
That's fair. Yeah, we both studied things and we didn't use our degrees.
Well, I will say that I learned how to write by studying economics, because you are writing a lot. Like you're not able to prove anything with economics, so it's a lot of theoretical stuff, and there's a lot of research involved, and then you have to write about it. So like I would be writing constantly, and so that's something I certainly use today. Like
absolutely, yeah. I graduated online, so I didn't remember or really use anything I learned.
Yeah, well,
some people.
I don't know, if I had to do it all over again, I'd probably do it the same way.
Yeah.
But I also studied Japanese in school, and
Oh, that's dope.
And I got to study abroad in Japan, which was cool.
How long did you spend there? Just a semester, or?
Yeah, it was like the summer, so like 3 months.
Did you go to a 7-Eleven while you were there?
Yeah, a bunch of them.
Were they really nice?
No, about like what we have, but they had different offerings, you know. They used to have this thing, it was a triangle of rice, and then it had a little fish or something, and the seaweed was on the outside.
It's like my dream to go to a 7-Eleven in Japan. My sister just went there, so I'm very jealous of that. But I'm going to Hawaii, and they sell the same little rice things in their 7-Eleven. So.
Oh yeah, a little onigiri. Yeah, they're good.
I'm so excited to try it.
And they each have like, there's like different ones that have different, like one's got seafood, and then one's got like, so they're different colors on the wrapper. That'll tell you what's in it.
That's like the only place I think of a trust gas station sushi.
Oh yeah, they don't have just like as much junk over there. I mean, they have like chips and different things, but most of it's like real food.
Yeah, I will say their chip flavors are also wild. There's a steak flavored Lay's chip. When I was in New York, I was going to a lot of the like Asian markets there, and so they had the Lay's chip that was like steak flavored. They had one that was crawfish flavored. That's what it's called. I was trying to think what it's called. Yeah.
Well, the Kit Kats over there, they have like 1,000 flavors of Kit Kats.
I've had the matcha ones and the cookies and cream one. And the red bean. The red beans ones were weird.
No, the other two, like, they're not sweet.
I had sesame ice cream. Black. Not good.
Yeah, right?
It's not like a...
It's an acquired taste that I never acquired either. But.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I'm not... I once, when I moved to New York, I just had have you ever heard of the Ninja Creamy? Basically, it turns anything into ice cream. That's the big appeal about it.
Oh.
And so that was the only appliance I had for the first month of living there. So I just made a lot of ice cream for food. So I made a coconut avocado ice cream because in college I used to have that a lot, but I never really figured out if I liked it. And as an adult, I tried it and I realized it just tastes like, why did you make this? Like you can't really, it's one of those flavors you just don't, it's not good. It's not bad. It's just.
That doesn't sound good.
No, it's just kind of there. It's just sustenance. I don't know.
Well, it would be kind of creamy, I suppose, but like, do you make it sweet or do you make it?
Yeah, I added sugar, but not enough.
I could see it being like savory.
Yeah, it was a mistake on my part. I mean, also this ice cream shop I was like reminiscing about in New York because I was missing home. And then I had it and I was like, this just doesn't taste good, you know? I don't think I even liked it in college. They had a goat cheese flavored ice cream. Disgusting.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Right?
But I don't. Yeah.
No. I don't know. There was a place in New York that had corn flavored ice cream. I did try it. I didn't get a scoop of it, but I would always get a sample of it.
Well, corn could be sweet. I could see that a little bit.
It was intriguing. I don't think it's going to be anyone's favorite, but it's a flavor that wasn't horrible.
I always thought you could have curry as like a drink, but people are like, there's no room for savory drinks. Like, people want sweet.
That's true.
Like, you're not going to drink gravy as like a hot
Some people
gravy.
drink broth.
Yeah,
I suppose.
That's pretty close. Like people, well, it's interesting. In Japan, they have like cold beverages, and then there's another section of the machine where it's hot beverages.
Oh.
So you have to make sure. There's some that they're like red or blue. You got to make sure. Because I got a hot something, and I was like, this is really strange. But then I don't know, I can't remember what flavor it was, but I was just like, you grab the can, you expect it to be cold, and it's like, oh, is this like spoiled? And you're like, oh no, it's a hot beverage. And I'm like, this is like magic. Like,
I like that someone maintains their machines enough for that to be possible, because that could never fly in the U.S.
No, well, they are a big vending machine culture, so like, there's vending machines for almost everything. Like,
I think the Japanese understand society. I heard that they're all it's quiet in public. People are, that's a dream.
Oh, it was crazy. So my friend Chad and I went back there to go skiing one time to northern Japan.
Yeah.
And so we got onto the train, and it's kind of a custom that you're not supposed to really like talk on the train too much. And we were both kind of drunk. So he's just like kind of talking loudly. And I was like, well, Chad, we're not really supposed to do that. And he's like, I'm like, whatever. And like, people were really like uncomfortable. Like we were like the ugly Americans in that. And I was trying to be like, hey,
That is so funny, because that's just so normal here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh.
Well, if you weren't really like, I mean, I only studied there for a little bit, but like, there's certain little things like that you kind of pick up on. Like people in Japan do not want to be handed money. Like if you're gonna pay somebody, you would never put it in their hand. They have like a little thing, so you're supposed to like set it down, and they kind of grab it. And a lot of times they'll wear gloves when they're handling money. So
that's
like,
smart.
Yeah, I mean, money is dirty, but we don't think about it like that.
Yeah, we don't think about where it's been. We're kind of greedy here. But what was your favorite thing you ate in Japan?
Oh, I went to the ramen museum, and so they have an area in Tokyo where they have ramen from each region of the country.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can get these little half bowls, so you can like try different ones. So I must have had like 8 little half bowls of different.
So good.
Oof, yeah. If you get a chance, definitely go there.
I saw a TikTok today that flights right now leaving next week to Japan are $200.
Wow.
If I had all the money in the world, I would be there.
I would say
if I just
go.
didn't have work next week, I would be there.
It's a really easy country to get around. You can get on a train pretty much anywhere, and like they're pretty friendly to Americans. Like,
that's definitely a bucket list place. How long was the flight from?
Oh, it's a long flight. Yeah. It's like 16 hours or something.
Yeah, that's gonna be a rough no for me for right now. It's gonna take some therapy for me to be able to be there.
But don't go on like Spirit or something.
Yeah.
Like take the Japanese airline, and they're much nicer.
I believe that. Yeah, I've never flown Spirit. I just am frankly afraid that they pray to keep it up. But I don't know. American's not that great either.
Mm. Yeah, no, flights I've taken recently, I've been like, this was nice.
Oh.
I was like, this is a struggle. But again, that's why it's cheap. I mean,
I was where was I? I was flying back to New York from Austin, and I got stuck in Charlotte, North Carolina for a night because all of American Airlines just dumped everyone there. Apparently, the Uber driver was telling me about how it happens like every week. People just get stranded here, and all the hotels they gave me vouchers for said they were full. And so I was just kind of like stranded, and I had to call a bunch of places to find a place that had a vacancy. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to fly American again. I mean, I'm going to fly it again, actually, because it's frankly the most affordable one for me right now. But
well, none of them are good. That's the thing. They all collectively are just kind of like, okay, if we're going to have it be affordable or whatever, we all just do the same thing. And then Who cares if you switch? You're gonna get it the same way.
Yeah. There's no good one. Also, I mean, as long as it's not Boeing, but the last few planes I flight have all been a Boeing. I don't know.
Just falling out of the air.
Yeah, falling out of the air. I saw an article about some guy opening a door mid-flight the other day. People, I don't know if people are getting crazier or if we just have like more access to information now, but I hope that stuff isn't that common, because maybe I'm just recommended a chaotic TikTok timeline, but it's always some unruly passenger on a plane or police cam footage.
I've been getting a lot of pimple popper videos, and I'm just like, I have a gross fascination with it. It's kind of like they were saying, oh, it's soothing. It is kind of soothing, but it's really weird.
It's soothing, but also it's a little anxiety invoking when they're getting it.
Yeah.
And they're getting it in small pieces instead of all at once.
But I can't take my eyes off it. And now it's like every third video.
I got one yesterday of a guy with a horn on his head, and they were removing it, kind of like it. Have you ever seen hoof videos? Have you ever seen cow hooves? It's kind of the same thing.
Oh, where they're shaving the hooves? I have seen those.
Yes, but have you seen it where it's like there's a cyst or something in there?
Oh, yeah.
I got really into those for a solid 3 months. That was my whole TikTok. It was just cows getting or horses. I don't remember.
I think they have to shave both of them.
Yeah. Anyways, it was fascinating. If I could do it all again and comedy wasn't, I would absolutely choose like dermatology or something. Because that seems like such a fun playground of a job. You just get to pop pimples and diagnose skin cancer.
I don't know. It'd be like touching people's faces all the time. And like, they say dentists are like some of the most unhappy people. So
yeah,
I wonder if that's true of dermatologists.
The highest profession for suicide.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I think it's because I was talking, because my god sister's a dentist, and we were discussing this, and she was like telling me how nerve-wracking it is to be in someone's mouth, because you have to, it's like a microscopic scale of how accurate you have to be. So maybe that's it, along with like you probably are like a perfectionist. If you're going to go into that industry, you must have certain personality traits like that. But
well, the chance you're causing pain to somebody is probably like high every time.
Yeah.
So that's got to be cumulatively damaging, I think, to your mind. But I don't know. It wouldn't be for me. But.
No, I don't want to be in people's mouth. I don't want to smell their breath. I don't want to.
Well, the people coming in are the ones who have things going good, usually.
No. I've been to the dentist a lot, and I got fucked up teeth. Do you want to go through the jokes we didn't?
Yes. That was one of them I was working on, too.
Oh, gosh. I haven't gone through these.
I pull them out here. I keep a little... I keep these in case I want to rework them for somebody else. But wait, I'm in the wrong folder. Where's my... Oh, yeah, here it is. It was so funny because I wrote Brittany LaDesbian, and then I seen you used it as one of your handles. I was like... Oh.
You could... It's still... I get it. Parallel thinking.
Well, I was like, no, if it, it must be out there already. Oh, this is one that actually was written for somebody else. Somebody else wrote this one. They said Brittany is a bisexual, so she said bye to sex with men. I was like, that. I mean, it's okay, but it's like.
Alden has a long-term girlfriend. And her family just wants to know that she's safe.
Yeah, they all live in Ohio.
Yeah, I wrote, that was one of the first drafts. I was trying to do, for your personality, I was trying to do because you said you're an ENFP, and I was trying to think of something funny to say with that, and I could not, but I just wrote down a bunch of words for them, but I never got to the E and N, but farty, fat, flubby, and then for the P, poop, penis, pedophile, people, pussy, pudgy.
Well, I don't know. The ENFP thing is something that some people know about, like people know about personality types.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they get much deeper into it sometimes. Like that's where it's hard. Like,
I was going to call you Alden, you hairy sack of a man.
What What did I write here? This one I said I couldn't get this one to work. I was trying to go for the half Mexican angle, you know, but it was Brittany says she's half Mexican, but she looks half white to me. But again, it wasn't enough to like. Okay, this is one to keep.
Alden is a child of divorce. Yeah, I could have guessed you eat 2 Christmases.
That's pretty good.
Or
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I like this one, but I didn't use it because I was like, I don't know. This is my favorite one, but Brittany is bisexual, which means she thinks there's only 2 genders.
I love that one.
I was like, I just don't know if it'll work. Like,
yeah, the third one is food.
like, oh, damn it. Well, that's the thing. Like, some of these are, if I hadn't come up with something better.
Let me see. Alden is short for Aldine dicks in my mouth.
That was pretty good. Well, and I like use it. Okay, I said Brittany is bisexual, meaning she'll sleep with any old Tom, Dick, vagina, or butthole. But I was like, it doesn't really, because that Tom and Dick is an idiom that people don't use anymore.
I think this one is bad, but I said Alden cooks a lot. He actually pickles his own farts.
I could be like that fart candle lady.
Why you look like a puppy with parvo?
This one I didn't do either, but I did end up using it in the video. I said, as a half white, half Mexican, Brittany wanted to get in touch with her cultural roots. So she got a job at Austin's premier half white, half Mexican restaurant.
So funny.
Chewy's.
So funny.
But again, it's like, if people don't know about Chewy's, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Alden looks like he blushes looking at a plate of brisket.
I could do that one. I actually used one similar to that with Trey. I said he identified a 22-ounce steak as finger food.
I wish I would have rephrased the one about jerking off in front of kids and said, Alden is very liberal. I mean, he'll take his dick out in front of any kid. Like, I think it's a lot less aggressive than jerk off.
Right. But I don't know. In that one, you kind of want to go hard, I suppose.
I suppose.
You can't have a soft jerk off joke.
Or I wrote a few about your girlfriend's cat dying.
Oh, actually funny. I made this picture for her the other day. And we're gonna print it and make it into like a, what do you call it? Like a poster.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's pretty cool.
Poor cat.
Yeah, it's Shelby. She's cute.
I know. Now I'm gonna talk about Shelby in a bad way.
No, it's fine.
I forgot the final way I wrote this because I wrote it on my phone a different way a little bit, but basically, I wrote one very aggressive one where it was like Alden's girlfriend's cat died. Yeah, he learned you can't use pussy as a fleshlight the hard way.
I can see where that would be polarizing.
Or Alden's girlfriend's cat died. Oh no, who's he's gonna fuck now?
I can see where those would be an acquired taste, you know. But again, it's a roast battle. People want you to go hard, you know. What did I put here? This one's I like this one too, but I didn't use it. But Brittany suffers from anxiety, so the obvious move was a career in live entertainment. But again, it's like it's like a B roast, you know.
Yeah. I wish I would have specified pounds on one of my jokes for the Alden recently lost 30 pounds. What, were you buying food in Europe?
Oh, that was the one about McDonald's.
Yeah.
Where like, I don't know what that one got some laughs too, but overall I thought it was a really good roast. Like,
it was fun. It was a really fun one. God, I want to be more clever already. That's how I feel when I write roasts.
So Brittany worked as a stripper until being forced into retirement at 23. Again, that's like I could say that about anyone who's worked as a stripper.
Yeah.
I want it to be more specific than that. Yeah,
I did write this and I didn't get to use it, but Alden heard I was a whore and he got excited because he thought whore was short for hors d'oeuvre.
No, that's pretty good. Well, and that's a good wordplay, I think.
Or Heather Keith wanted me to say, you look like you grew your beard to use as a napkin.
Oh, I like that one. I don't know who wrote this one. This must have been, maybe Remy wrote this one. It said, Brittany claims to be bulimic. You'd think by now she would have thrown up one good joke. I don't know. That one could have been like a 6th round one. Brittany can't judge a book by its cover because she's dyslexic. Yeah, my last joke in the roast, though, didn't really hit. So I think in the future, the punchline for that one was too long. You know?
Yeah, I wish I would have sprinkled others in besides fat jokes. I did one that wasn't, but they just didn't like it. So then I stuck to them. I have one that's not really like funny necessarily, but I was going to say, because you're here, I was going to say Alden's biggest fear is getting stuck in a zoo enclosure. Or you're a self-proclaimed fart engineer. Yeah, we can tell.
Yeah, that's pretty good, dude. Well, how do you organize them when you do it? Because like I've had people tell me strongest ones at the end. I disagree. I always put my strongest ones first. And then
I try to do a strong one at the beginning and the end and the middle, I hope.
Just like cross your fingers?
Just like, please, please, please. Please do well. Please think I'm funny. Please don't think I'm shrill yet. I know it's easy to.
Well, I got to test out a bunch of them during the mics, but the 2 I wrote that day were the ones at the end. And I was like, these are the most untested ones, so I'm going to leave them to the end.
That's an interesting, yeah. I always try to do the middle for the uncertain ones, and the front one, I try to think of something that's like very like in the moment. Like when I did my roast at Mothership, I said, doesn't it look like he was shadow boxing in the mirror before this? And then everyone really liked that. So I try to do something that is like, thank you for being here style. Yeah. But I just didn't have any. Heather wanted me, because you were wearing the lime green, Heather wanted me to say something about how Alden, Halloween was last week. You didn't need to come dressed as a tennis ball.
Well, the problem I have is I'll always wear a solid color.
Yeah.
So if I wear the blue shirt, I'm the ocean. You know, if I wear the purple one, I'm Grimace. You know, so I was like, I got to wear like kind of an odd color. So then it's hard to like, what do you do, like tennis ball or something? Like that safety green or whatever that is like kind of a weird one. So that people don't have a canned thing to go right away. Because if I wear red, I'm Santa Claus, you know. So
I was going to say cherries.
Cherries? Oh, yeah, right. I grew up on a cherry farm.
You did? That's fascinating. Well.
It's a weird farm.
Yeah. You don't really grow anything else there?
No. Well, we did plums.
How hard were cherries to grow?
Cherry farming is a horrible business. So let's start with that. But so you got to plant the tree, and then you wait 7 years before you can even harvest it. So that's a problem, you know. Then
you really have to have investors trust you with it.
Oh yeah, it's a very hard business to get into. And then so when the tree gets to a certain age, you can start shaking it. So they have a machine that just grabs it and just like shakes the tree, and then you know it's all put into with tractors and stuff. But there's a lot of years where you won't get any fruit because if there's hail or if there's an early spring and they bloom too early, that'll ruin all of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a horrible. My dad said don't go into farming, and that's true. I mean, it's a very bad business. I mean, plus it's a lot of like you could work all year and not get a harvest. You know?
That's so No thanks. No thanks for that job.
No, I was not designed for that.
Well, thank you for doing my podcast. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Let's see. I'm doing the Lucky Duck on Wednesdays, and that's pretty fun.
It's a fun open mic. It is the world's longest open mic, at least in Austin, Texas.
Well, yeah, it's certainly the longest one down here. And what else am I doing? I don't know. Making stuff on Instagram. Check me out, the Mob Schaub on Instagram. I don't know. I'm just doing what everybody's doing. Just going to shows, going to mics, you know. Trying to write. If you're a comic, maybe come check out the tag writing mic on Wednesdays at the Lucky Duck and Sundays at Sunset. I guess that's it. Maybe people want to play trivia. I do that Mondays at the Barton Springs Saloon and Tuesdays at the Lucky Duck.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty fun.
Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.